Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. The updated and expanded second edition of my book, The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments, is now available. Readers can expect to march with Arnie's Army at the 1960 U.S. Open, relive Jack Nicklaus's remarkable 1986 Masters win, and be amazed by the Tiger Slam. The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments. Pick it up where fine books are sold, including BarnesandNoble.com and Amazon.com.
This Day in Sports History. And welcome back to This Day in Sports History. It's April 23rd, and on this day in 1999, it was a baseball first that may never be equaled and surely not bested. So yesterday I talked a little bit about how back in 1876 it was the first recognized game in Major League Baseball history. And here in 1999, nearly 123 years to the day after that first game, Fernando Tatis Sr. became the first and still only player in Major League Baseball history to hit 2 grand slams in the same inning. The St. Louis Cardinals were in Los Angeles playing the Dodgers on this night as Tatis Sr. stepped to the plate in the third inning. The bases were loaded with no outs, and he jumped on a Chanho Park fastball and blasted it over the left field fence and into the Dodgers bullpen for his first one. A few minutes later, Tatis Sr. walked to the plate feeling a little deja vu with the bases loaded once again and Park still on the mound. The only difference were there were now 2 outs, and Park threw a breaking ball that hung a little bit too much over the plate, and Tatis drilled it into the left center field seats for his second Grand Slam homer in the third inning. It was part of an 11-run inning for the Cards, who went on to win 12-5 that night. Tatis Sr. was in his third year as a big leaguer, and prior to the third inning on this night, he'd never hit a Grand Slam. And he really was not known as a home run hitter yet. He did go on to hit a career-best 34 that season, but he fell off after that. In his 11-year career, he had a total of 113 homers. For comparison, his son, Fernando Tatis Jr., has 110 so far in his 5 years in the majors, and that includes the COVID-shortened season of 2020. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention that the younger Tatis served an 80-game suspension for performance enhancers in 2022. Also on this day, since we're talking about scoring runs in bunches, let's go back to 1955 when the Chicago White Sox scored a major league tying 29 runs in a win against the Kansas City Athletics. Bob Neiman was the heavy hitter in this one, homering twice and driving in 7 on this night. Sherm Lawler also hit a pair of dingers. Minnie Minoso and even the starting pitcher Jack Harshman got in on the fun with home run shots. Kansas City starting pitcher Bobby Shantz was not having any fun in this one. He gave up 9 runs in an inning and 2/3. The 29 the White Sox scored equaled the major league record at the time scored by the Boston Red Sox 5 years before. The 29 runs scored by one team would stand as the record until the Texas Rangers scored 30 in 2007. Also in yesterday's edition of This Dish, I teased a story that I would talk about today, and as I mentioned, the Basketball Association of America played their first championship series in 1947. Well, on this day in 1950, it was the first NBA championship series, wrapping up with the Minneapolis Lakers beating the Syracuse Nationals 110-95 to win the series 4-2. Game 6 was a physical game, and in fact, there were several fights. One in the first quarter got bad enough that police had to come onto the court and break it up. The original big man, George Mikan, scored 40 points to lead the way for the Lakers. Now, let me go back for a second. The NBA actually recognizes this as their 4th championship series, claiming the previous 4 years of the BAA as the official start to the league, and the 47 title as the first. But this is the first one after the merger of the BAA and the National Basketball League, and the first one under the new NBA banner. The NBA kind of sloughs off the history of the NBL, because it was a bit of a mess. It was a loose association that let teams decide their own schedules and how many games they would play in a season, and even how long an actual game was going to be. But here in 1950, under the unified banner of the NBA, the Lakers won the title. In 2019, Southampton's Shane Long scored the fastest goal in English Premier League history, just 9 seconds into the match with Watford. Sadly, that was their only goal of the day, and it ended in a 1-1 draw. And since I started today with a first and only story, I'll bookend it with another one. In 1964, Houston's Ken Johnson became the first and only player to pitch a 9-inning no-hitter and lose. Others have done it in extra innings, but the hard-luck Johnson pitched a beautiful game that came undone in the ninth. Up to that point, he had only walked 3, and only 3 balls had been hit hard enough to make it out of the infield, all fly balls caught by his Colt 45 teammates. Pitching against his former team, the Cincinnati Reds, in the ninth, though, rookie Pete Rose laid down a bunt that Johnson fielded, but his throw was off the mark and Rose went to second on the error. After a ground ball out, Rose moved to third. Vada Pinson was next up, and he had another ground ball to Nellie Fox, who could not find the handle on it, allowing Pinson to reach first and Rose to score. Joe Nuxall came on in the bottom half and held Houston scoreless, and the Reds made Johnson a 1-0 loser with 0 hits showing on the scoreboard. And here's today's non-sports Did You Know? Are you looking to add more calcium and iron to your diet? Well, eat a grasshopper or 2. They have 4 times the calcium and twice the iron as beef. That's all for this edition. I'll have more tomorrow on This Day in Sports History. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, a.k.a. the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.